Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Pisces energy. And like usual, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Pisces energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Pisces energy. The bottom row can represent kind of phases of life that we go through. We got to learn lessons in life, and sometimes we're at a phase of life and other people are kind of moving ahead of us, being a little more bold and brave or confident or balanced or healed. And sometimes we're the ones moving forward. And, some of the people in our life are still in a phase of life. I kind of feel like we have to learn certain lessons at certain phases of life. It's kind of like passing grade levels in school. Like, you can't go to the next level of a math class if you didn't learn the level of math class before that, And so sometimes we're ready, sometimes we're not ready, sometimes other people are ready and we're not ready. And it can be hard because at any of those stages of life that we've went through, when we're 18 or 21 or 25, for example, we would have liked some of the people to not move forward when they did, and we would have liked some of the people to move forward with us when we did. But, you view life the way you view it, you feel about yourself and the world and what you think is just and fair at any given moment in time. And sometimes we're not on the same page anymore with some people in our life. So, wish people peace and love, just like some people wished you peace and love. And, maybe everybody will get on the same page at some future point in time. And with some people, we never will be on the same page again. And it's just to accept the truth of what is at the moment it is. Pisces energy can be having hope and faith and belief in your dreams, listening to your intuition. Pisces also, though, can represent people's fears and insecurities or immaturity that they don't ever overcome. And some people will stay at living a certain phase of life maybe the rest of their life. Anyway, let's go look at the bottom row. The reason for the bottom row's reading is the Six of Wands. So that can be, we're at a phase of life where we view it as victorious and successful. Over here we have the Ten of Cups, the Queen of Cups, the Knight of Cups, and the World card. Sometimes we can want things to keep moving forward the way they're moving forward because we enjoy it. And we can be in relationships with people who want to keep moving forward in a certain way of life because they enjoy it. The thing is, though, for people who do want to keep healing and growing, kind of maturing themselves, those people emotionally are kind of more invested in listening to their intuition. And when their intuition, because the Knight of Cups is Pisces energy, it's kind of their intuition telling them that, though we did enjoy this phase of life in the Ten of Cups, and in a lot of ways it could have seemed victorious and successful and we enjoyed it, it's just part of the journey. It's just like we don't stay 21 forever. We don't stay 25 forever. And I think we were given our intuition to let us know that it's time to start facing our fears about going to the next stage of life. Otherwise, it does start to wear on our self-esteem, and we could know that it's more of our fear and our insecurity and then we're in our ego. And the Six of Wands is Leo energy. We're either kind of facing our fears, or our fears kind of stop us from continuing to move forward. And the World card can mean willing to learn lessons in life, get out of your ego, get out of your fear, get out of your codependency or being more codependent. And high vibe energy is being more independent, just of your own worldly nature, fearful nature, more codependent on other people. But in shadow, the world, for some people, they might want to move forward in life differently. Their intuition might be telling them to move forward differently, but you have to overcome your ego, which is the fact that if you move forward in life a little differently, it's kind of like taking a leap of faith, right? That it might not work out. Well, some people know, I know that not everything I go pursue is going to work out the way I want. But I'm willing to take that risk and I'll just learn more lessons along the way. Kind of like we could have a friend group, is what the Ten of Pentacles or the Ten of Cups can represent. It could be a workplace, it could be a friend group, it could be our original family or something. And we could know people who they want to keep living their life a certain way, but our intuition is kind of telling us to move forward in life. You know, everybody can have their way of living life that they view as victorious and successful, and we could have lived our life. So it kind of really makes me think of like a kid leaving home. And so, kind of reminiscent of when we were a child or a young adult, you know, could we have stayed at home forever if they would have let us? Maybe. Did we necessarily want to? There, you know, we have that struggle within us, you know, but you know, generally we want to be more independent and we want to feel high vibe Leo. We want to feel proud of ourselves. So we go take that leap of faith and we know it will be difficult. There could be setbacks, there could be challenges, but I just want to be more independent. And I suppose, you know, in tarot, we have the pages, we have the knights, we have the kings and the queen, we have the emperor and empress, we have the hierophant and the high priestess. It's kind of wanting to grow to your full potential, you know, and a knight is right above a page, which could be young adulthood. Some people kind of stay in a more young adulthood mentality all their life, in a sense where I'm fearful of not of doing things differently. The Six of Wands comes after the Five of Wands. So, you know, eventually when we live our life a certain way, we can start to have inner conflict within it because it is kind of like our soul telling us it's time for you to move forward. Offer the people in your life truth and love, you know, the people in your life that you want to keep working with, and offer them love and encouragement to move forward with you. But the truth sets us free, and Leo energy is also represented by the sun being illuminated to the truth. And also, I view Leo energy as being loving and encouraging and compassionate to yourself, to face your fears, like taking over that role that other people might have played in our life, to take over that role of being like our own best mother, father, coach voice in our head. And we could be in friendships or relationships in the past where we were kind of more codependent on other people to play that role in our life, to be loving and encouraging and supportive, to make us feel. And the Six of Wands can, the sixes can kind of talk about balance. But can we maintain balance on our own? Can we be loving and encouraging to ourselves to go live our more authentic life and face our fears, right? So some people have done that and they offered truth and love to some people in their life, and some people in their life wished people peace and said, you know, that's your life, that's your truth, you go do that, this is mine, I'm happy here, I don't have an interest in doing things differently. And you know, sometimes there's no problem, you know. With some other people, um you know, some people, it's like if you go do something differently, then the world could be that the relationship is over. If you look at life differently, if you don't live life like we live life, if you don't hang out with us and do these kind of things or make this important in your life, you know, maybe the Five of Wands that this could represent can just be, we could have had people in our life that we connected with because we could have been looking to other people to play that role in our life. And then when we learn to play that role in our own life, that's also can be when some people don't want to be in friendship or relationship with you anymore because they're still in that energy and looking for people to kind of be intercodependent with them in that way. And if you kind of there's a lot of things you could have. The world card again can talk about learning lessons, and there could have been things within you that you had in common with people. Could have been in the Five of Wands, things that motivated and inspired you. It could have been maybe even more indulging yourself emotionally in life, where I don't know what it could be exactly. I mean, it could be a lot of different things, but kind of just indulging yourself more emotionally. Um, Shadowy Pisces can be being caught up in the world, and shadowy Five of Wands and Six of Wands of ego can be being in more competitive energy, making our life about these things or indulging in these things. And when some people work through whatever it was at that phase of life that they kind of needed to work through, if they work through it, then some of that commonality of being kind of on the same page and the same way of living life, viewing life, things you like to indulge in emotionally that you can find fulfilling. Again, we're 18, 21, 25. I'm ready to kind of move forward in life a little differently. Was that a blast? Was that fun? Yeah, but I don't want to live my life that way forever. And again, sometimes some people do. And high vibe Leo of the Six of Wands can be where kind of just learning to be more comfortable in your own skin to live your more authentic life, being less about the world or conforming to the world or your ego and your image. And it's like, I just want to live my more authentic life. And in high vibe, I don't want to go do anything awful. I just want to, from truth and love and justice and fairness, to live my more authentic life. And if I could feel like in the Five of Wands that people are being manipulative or competitive or kind of bossy or controlling, and shadowy energy can be where people are kind of creating an illusion. That's also like shadowy Pisces energy. Like they're these loving and encouraging and supportive people. They are until you want to be more independent. Or if you work through your if you're not operating more out of your ego or your defensiveness or your immature nature or codependent nature, because they might do that to some degree or kind of live a life of illusion. Look how wonderful our life is. It's all about loving the world and being about our ego and our image and our status, but it can seem more superficial and shallow, and it's not really more inspired where people are more independent, living their more authentic life, being more authentic and loving and warm and encouraging. And it's all to create this illusion of how wonderful it is and investing in the illusion because they have inner conflict of being more authentic or loving or independent, you know? So some people have worked through a phase of life, whatever it was. Some of those people work through what at one time they were caught up in or manipulated them. And the reason for the top rose reading is the Eight of Pentacles, but it wasn't showing itself. So the Eight of Pentacles is Virgo energy, and Virgo energy can talk about what our long-term goals are. And a more worldly, shadowy Virgo energy could be that people didn't want people to know, because Virgo energy also talks about our truth and, it's kind of all these things about what really motivates and inspires us to take the action that we take in our life, why we get in certain friendships or relationships or jobs, right? What is it that ultimately motivates and inspires us? What is our truth and what is our long-term goal? And we can get in friendships and relationships, get in jobs with people, And we don't realize, and there can be a lot of things we like about it and a lot of things we enjoy, and we wish it would move forward maybe a little differently. And for a long time, we can have hope and faith and belief that maybe things will change because the fives talk about change. But if things keep never changing and it never moves forward the way we thought it was going to move forward, right? We could start to realize that our truth is different and how we want to move forward and what our long-term goals are different. And a shadowy Virgo energy that anyone can harness is that their truth could be they are more inspired to live their life more from their worldly egoic view of life, which is, I want to be in a relationship, I want to have a job, I want to get married because of these reasons kind of the world. That is my long-term goal. I want a job to have a job. I want to be in a relationship to be in a relationship. I want to be married to be married. you know? And they can enjoy that, and they maybe have no interest in being inspired to ever become more independent of making their life more about that as being the driving factor for why they're in it. And other people want to be in a relationship. High vibe Virgo is truth and love and growing and healing and maturing yourself, being inspired by truth and love and justice and fairness. And sometimes people get in jobs, they're really not motivated and inspired, but they want a job. Oh, look how happy I am. This is such a great job. And if it's a job where it looks victorious and successful, yep, I'll stay in it. They could completely not like that job. But if that's what pays the bills, and everybody's got to do what they got to do. But, some people are more willing to stay in situations, even if it causes them in the Five of Wands a lot of inner conflict, just because they're afraid of ending it to go look for a new job, new friendship, new relationship. We all have different tolerance levels, right? And other people could get in it, a job, a friendship, a relationship, and if there's things about it that they feel are kind of shadowy, it's kind of like they can put in work and effort to try to facilitate and inspire people to work through whatever it is that kind of manipulates them, hoping things will change. But if things never change, then those people are like, I feel like a dream has come to an end. Could I stay in this job, friendship, or relationship? Because by worldly standards, it might look victorious and successful, but it is staying in it more for these worldly reasons and egoic reasons and maybe some fear and insecurity and codependency. I would be kind of giving up my dream of what I had aspired to. And that's when some people could realize that some of the people in their life, it is more for these worldly reasons why they want to stay in it. And for other people, that's not their truth. And they are willing to quit investing in something if things don't change. Other people might be willing to keep moving forward with it, even if things don't change. And to each their own. We all have to make these decisions in our life of take our own circumstances and life situations into consideration. And everybody has kind of got their own things that are more driving and motivating to them. And some people are like, I want to be more independent. I want to be respected as my own, like I'm an adult. I'm not looking. Sometimes the Queen of Cups reminds me of people who want to, a queen would be of a higher status than a knight. And some people like to play that role in people's life. And then they don't like those people becoming more independent. But just like children grow up and want to move away from home and, but some of the people that are like more, they have their way of living life, and they have things that they could enjoy, but they also could have fear of change. They could have fear of becoming independent from a way of living life or people in their life. And then they hope that because there could be a lot of good things about it, they hope that other people would just keep moving forward with them in it. But it's never going to change. They're never going to give birth to anything new because these people are never going to give birth to anything new. And then they can get in relationships with people and hope that because those people have love for them and it might look victorious and successful in a lot of ways, that those people will kind of give up their dream of being more independent and make your life more about what we make our life about. And if that's more about, I have people in my life that I'm codependent on. Won't you stay in a relationship with me and let those be codependent on those people too? Or won't you be more about the world and make your life more about staying in it to be in it because it looks good? Do we really have to be more authentic? Do we really have to learn these lessons in life and free ourselves from things that manipulate us? And it could just be some people operate from their defensive egoic nature. Can they kind of be loving and nurturing and supportive people, but they don't? High vibe Leo, I view as kind of like high vibe Scorpio, doing a deep, meaningful relationship. But you have to come out from behind your defensive egoic nature to do that. And some people are like, but this looks good and it might be a little more superficial and shallow. Isn't that good enough? It looks good by worldly standards. And some people are like, it's not based on truth and love. It's more the illusion of love. And it might be more for these other reasons. And I don't want to be in a relationship and stay in a relationship or a workplace more for these other reasons, because I feel like my more loving nature or just and fair nature or hopeful and believing nature is kind of being manipulated to kind of indulge people who aren't wanting to do the inner work within themselves to free themselves from things that manipulate them. And then if I keep staying in a relationship with you or working for you, I kind of have to let those things manipulate me too, but those things might not manipulate me like they manipulate you. And some people did do the work within themselves. That's what Virgo can talk about. I did offer love to myself to work through my fears and my insecurities and my more codependent nature and my more immature nature and my more defensive nature and my more prideful nature and my more worldly motivated nature. Because I don't like my more worldly shadowy nature kind of being in the driver's seat of my life. I want to have, the Six of Wands talks about having victory over your more worldly egoic nature. I don't want those aspects of me to be in the driver's seat of my life. I want my more hopeful, believing, loving nature to be in the driver's seat of my life. And that means I have to offer love to my ego nature and my fearful nature to kind of get us all on board to say, we're going to go pursue some of these things of the world that we want, but we're going to go about it in a more balanced way, a more just way, a more loving way, a way we can really be proud of. So then they come up here and they had to probably work through harnessing this energy in a more shadowy, worldly way because they don't want to repeat this pattern again. And there's always going to be people in the world that we could have in our friend group, in our family group, in our workplace, that we just meet out in the world, that could tempt us to being more about ourselves, indulging our more immature nature, our codependent nature, And if I don't want to repeat that pattern because I've already been in that kind of relationship or workplace, I have to work through how I harness this energy in a more shadowy way and start harnessing it in a more high vibrational way. And then I have to be willing to cut out the people in my life that still harness it in a more shadowy way. And they, in turn, want me to be in that energy. But is it the Four of Wands? Well, the Four of Wands is Aries energy, and it can talk about just being more inspired to make your life more about the world. It also can be kind of making your life more about being codependent to be in a relationship with other people, because the Four of Wands can talk about coming together with others in joy and celebration. That and Aries energy also is about the self. And seeing how I could have lived my life being more about myself. I could have been in relationships with people who I maybe didn't want to see the truth of, that maybe they were a little bit more about themselves. And high vibe energy, again, is about justice and fairness. And love is supposed to be just and fair. And you're supposed to treat other people the way you like to be treated. And so it's kind of, we're all tempted, in our more worldly nature, our prideful nature, our fearful nature, our codependent nature, these things of the world that we want. But do we have to sacrifice kind of our truth? Again, like staying in a job, but it's not really, we don't either like the people or we don't like the job, but I'm going to stay in it anyway, hide the fact that it's not my truth, but because I'm more influenced by stability or security or status or image or codependency, I'm going to stay in it. Kind of like maybe treating a relationship more like a job than being in relationship with people where people do work together more cooperatively. People are more just and fair and loving and encouraging and supportive. And it starts within ourselves. And so the high vibe people realized, I need to offer love to myself, to believe in myself. And that's where they did that work and effort within themselves to be inspired within themselves, to be more independent, less codependent, learning to love themselves instead of looking for other people to love them, and take over that role within themselves. If where I'm at is causing me some inner conflict, or people are competitive or manipulative or bossy or controlling, even though that's not the way they might present themselves to the world. My intuition is telling me either I'm in it for the wrong reasons, some people in my life, or some people in my life are in the relationship with me for the wrong reasons. And that is not why I want to be in a relationship with people. So you kind of get inspired within yourself. And then the difference between the Six of Wands and the Four of Wands is the Two of Wands, which is also Aries energy. Kind of this way of living life that we kind of had this idea and this dream that we had, and we can get in friendships and relationships with people, and we're hoping to bring this dream into reality. But again, we all have to be inspired kind of by the same dream. And as some people are like, yes, we should move forward in a relationship, and let's never be more authentic. Let's never take more bold, brave, creative action in our life. Let's just keep doing this. This looks victorious and successful. And again, where it just seems that's shadowy energy. It's like dead and stagnant. It never gives birth to anything new. And part of the reason it doesn't give birth to anything new is because the people within it aren't giving birth to anything new. They have this way of living life. I just want to do this, and they don't want to see what should go and what should stay. Because in order to move forward differently, again, you have to see the truth of what needs to go, like kind of what are the good building blocks and what have we learned are not the good building blocks with the Five of Wands. But some people, they don't want to give those things up. And again, it could be things that more manipulate them than it manipulates you. And it's like, I can't keep staying in something where nothing ever changes and people aren't inspired either to be more authentic, more loving, aren't willing to do some of this inner work within themselves. Virgo energy talks about going within and looking at the things that we like to keep hidden in the dark and we don't want to deal with. But it still affects people's decisions and how they act and how they react and the choices that they make. And some people are kind of full of themselves, and some people are kind of prideful, and some people just, their way of interacting with people is always just to try to manipulate people to get them to do what they want. Like, oh, but I act this way and I do this, and, for all those reasons, I should be able to manipulate you, and you should keep moving forward. And some of those people don't care if the people that work for them or in friendship or relationship with, well, I don't care if you have conflict about it. This works for me. Let's keep going. Let's keep moving ahead. And that's when some people too are like, you can go. And eventually they can, we can both feel that way towards each other. You know what? You're kind of inspired by these things and you want to move forward that way. I don't. We in turn are like, you know what? I think you can keep moving forward that way. That's not how I want to keep moving forward. And if there's some people who are more about the ego and the image and the status and the illusion of how wonderful their life is, and you could feel it's more superficial and shallow, yeah, they can go do that with someone else. And if they're more about them, they can go be more about them with someone else. If they have people in their life that is like the primary foundation in their life, and you're going to marry them or create a family with them, but you're like the third party, and that is the most important relationship in their life still, you're going to let them do that relationship and be a third party to them in their friend group or their family group, right? So you do this work within yourself to detach from that old way of living life or viewing life and that foundation or that job, friendship, or relationship. And then we have the Judgment card. And you're calling judgment on people in the Four of Pentacles and the Temperance card, and hide the Eight of Pentacles reverse. And the Four of Pentacles can be, again, I have this way of living life and viewing life, and they always just balance out their emotions about the fact that they're unwilling to change. After the Four of Pentacles will become the Five of Pentacles. So it's like people who create the illusion, I'm willing to move forward in life with you differently. Like you have your dreams and aspirations, I have my dreams and aspirations, and together we're going to work cooperatively together to have this new beginning and work together for this common goal. And then you find out that they're really, like, that was just an illusion they created. No, I'm really just going to do this. And then I think you should balance out your emotions because, like, you love me, that we're just going to do this and we're never really going to do that. And for a long time, people have a hard time calling judgment on those people, hoping, harnessing high vibe temperance energy of being patient, being loving and encouraging to try to help people through whatever it is that manipulates them, hoping that in time, it will move forward in the way it's intended to kind of move forward, where it's not more about you. We're supposed to work together to, my truth, your truth. Everybody has to sacrifice some things to create this new thing that we're moving forward with. And you could look at the Six of Wands as 2 Three of Wands people. Everybody kind of had a dream, and then that's like the Two of Wands, and you're inspired to take action, both in Three of Wands energy, to make this Six of Wands. But you have to be motivated and inspired by the same truth. And someone could have kind of been hiding the truth that that's really not their truth. I want to do it this way. So, you can be patient for a long time, but it's like them wanting to sacrifice what you find emotionally fulfilling, or maybe being in relationships with people who are more inspired by love because their truth that they could have been hiding is it's more about the ego and the image and indulging yourself in the relationship and not really being more inspired by truth and love and maybe justice and fairness and treating other people the way they like to be treated. And as time goes by, people in the Four of Pentacles, you can feel kind of stuck. And then you have to work through it within yourself. Am I going to stay stuck in something where I feel like I may be always the one who's having to balance out my emotions to try to maintain balance in the relationship and keep moving it forward? And then it could feel like you're the one kind of putting more of the work and effort into making it be in that energy, and you could kind of feel like the other people are kind of indulging in it. And maybe that they're not really working with you cooperatively in truth and love and justice and fairness and being motivated and inspired to put in that work and effort. And that could be like people who are like, oh, I want to get married. And then they want to get married, and then that was the end. There, nothing else to do. We're married now. That's it. And the other people are like, well, what? Well, no, I put in work and effort to get you to marry me. Well, you did, and now I'm good. It's like, well, so like you're not going to keep putting in like work and effort to keep moving this relationship forward? And it's kind of like this way of viewing life or viewing the world. Well, no, I don't have to anymore. We got married. It's like, oh, nice. Okay. So the Temperance card is Sagittarius energy. So we have all three of the fire signs out. And some people are just still operating more from their worldly egoic nature. And they're not inspired. High vibe Sagittarius is about learning lessons in life, which is high vibe Virgo also. Aren't you inspired to want to keep growing and healing and maturing yourself? No, man, I got the job. No, I'm in the relationship. No, I'm in the marriage. I'm good. And you work with people who are like that, and they lack motivation within themselves to kind of, I don't know. I kind of can't relate to it just because it's not the type of person I am, but you always got people who just kind of want to indulge in a job, a friendship, or a relationship. Kind of put in the minimum just so they don't get fired. And people that can know them can be patient with them for a long time until those people work through the fact that, maybe as other people, just like people can come into a friendship group, other people can come into a workplace. And then it's like, those other people seem to be more inspired. I could have thought those people, there wasn't maybe a lot to work with there or something. But those people are really, what I wasn't seeing is that those people are really motivated and inspired within themselves. They might not have the work experience, they might not have the education of some of the other people, but they're motivated and inspired within themselves. And they also take responsibility in the Judgment card within themselves, where the other people have to constantly be on them. Could you do this? Could you do that? Did you get that done? And the other people just within themselves take on that responsibility to hold themselves accountable, And then in high vibe, in the Four of Pentacles, they could be very stable, very grounded, very patient, willing to learn lessons in life, So I think what some people don't know about some people who might have moved away from one situation. For one, not everybody knows what goes on behind closed doors or how things have went over a period of years and how people have interacted. And some of the shadowy people in the world will, um, keep living their life the way they live it. The other people, though, might take some time to work through the fact that they actually more maybe emotionally invested in the relationship. So then, because we're emotionally complex human beings, it can take us more time to work through it and to balance out their emotions and to learn the lesson they were meant to learn. And some people could think that some people aren't moving forward in their life. Other people might go get in a new job, friendship, or relationship right away to show that, look, I've moved on, look, I've healed, I've grown, I've matured, or whatever. But other people are taking time, and what they don't see is that those people are doing this work within themselves. And instead of shadowy energy can be where we go invest in indulging in our ego to feel better, other people are really doing this work within themselves to heal and grow and mature themselves. Holding back from taking action more out of just wanting to feel better or codependency or fear and insecurity. And being very patient with yourself, and kind of the temperance card and the judgment card is with both on either side of you. It's like high vibe energy surrounding you. And when you stay in high vibe energy, balanced within yourself, stable and grounded, putting in this work and effort within yourself, taking action in your truth and investing your time, energy, and effort into people in your life who are just and fair and loving and encouraging and supportive, and holding back from the people in your life that you see that is not the truth of who they are. It's kind of like you got divine protection around you, and it keeps shadowy people away. And if you don't see other people in your environment that seem to be on the same page as you, you're not going to go indulge in getting in a more involved relationship with those people, because you've already been there and done that with other people. And it's like protecting the foundation of your truth. And if there isn't other people that are in that energy around, you're not going to invest more of your, and so it could kind of feel like maybe going through a winter season. Every different things go on in the world, and certain things are kind of the thing. And while other people might be doing that and look like they're living the life, if some of those people are more, if you feel like the people around you are more creating an illusion, want to more indulge in a relationship, it's like, no, I'm not moving forward with you. You stay in the friend zone. And can I hang out with you and enjoy your company to a degree? Yeah, but I'm not going to put more work and effort into moving this relationship forward. It kind of stays that I can be a loving and encouraging person to you, but I'm not going to get in a more involved relationship with you. But you not taking action in more prideful or immature, lustful, greedy action, there's probably a lot of people that are just sitting there waiting. As soon as they take action, more out of pride, ego, lust, greed, whatever, we're all rushing in, And it's like, no, you just stay back, because that's not what I'm doing. And if none of you get out of your ego or your these illusions you have about what it means to be in a relationship, and you want to be in a more codependent relationship, either think I'm going to treat you like a mother would a child, where you can go do whatever you want to do, and because I love you, that I'm going to indulge you in poor behavior. No, you can go find someone else to do that. And if you like to play the role of a loving person in someone's life, but yet you don't want them to be more independent, and you kind of want to use the love that they have for you to manipulate and control them, no. And the people in my life who I respect as their own individual with their own unique talent, skills, and interests, and they respect me as my own individual, and we don't try to manipulate and control people, and we treat each other with love and encouragement, those are the people I'm going to keep investing my time, energy, and effort into. And until me or we or all of us meet someone or other people who seem to be more on that same page, everybody kind of stays as a social acquaintance, but I'm not going to put more work, energy, and effort into. So, what's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Pisces energy? You're listening to your intuition, holding people accountable for their actions. The people who are a little bit more about themselves or have illusions you feel about relationships, or more about the ego and image, you're holding back from those people. The Six of Cups. Why? Because of the Justice card and the Two of Swords. Because you want justice, both the Justice card and the Two of Swords is Libra energy, which is represented by the scales of justice. You want to be in relationships with people who are in this high vibe Libra, high vibe Aries, high vibe Capricorn, high vibe Sagittarius, and Virgo, regardless of what zodiac sun sign they are. And you could have known some people that harness those traits and characteristics in a more shadowy way. And they wanted you to stay in the denial of the truth, that they were wanting to repeat some old pattern with you. No, this is the way we should do it. I love doing this. Let's do this. It's like, well, you might want to keep repeating that old pattern, but I don't want to keep repeating that pattern. So you can repeat that old pattern with someone else. And because you wanted a more just, fair, balanced, authentic, loving relationship, you had to listen to your intuition, which the Two of Swords can talk about, kind of listening to your intuition. Pisces can talk about that. In the Two of Swords, it's kind of like, I have my dualistic nature and so does everybody else. Are they balanced within their dualistic nature, or are they tipped out of balance more in favor of being about them or the world or ego or immaturity or something? I want to be in a relationship with people who are more tempered and more balanced, and who've also been illuminated to the truth that if you're going to be in a romantic relationship with someone, it should be because of love, not because of these other reasons that could kind of drive and motivate some people. And it's not to be the illusion of love. It is supposed to be love. And that means you have to come out from behind your ego to be more authentic. And for some people, that's when the relationship ended. I'm not doing that. I love creating the illusion and hiding behind my ego. I'm sure I can find someone else to get in a relationship with. You probably can. Enjoy. And I guess you'll be in it unless you get in a relationship with someone else that finds out over time that you're not really authentic. It's kind of like living more from your mind than your heart. Can't we stay in the relationship and, it all looks good. I'm enjoying it. But people who want a more deep, meaningful relationship end up, I think this Four of Pentacles seems sad. Having a new beginning and, again, kind of having these things of the world, but not having somebody work together with you cooperatively in truth and love. And because you wanted justice and you listened to your intuition and you chose to offer people truth and love and then to see how they in turn responded, you can't stay in denial of the truth anymore. I don't want to live in illusion. And in high vibe, the Six of Cups of Scorpio energy is I do want a deep, meaningful relationship that's just and fair and balanced. And a shadowy relationship is kind of out of balance, where it can be one person's a little more defensive or egoic or self-protective or materialistically ego-focused or more about them. And the other person kind of gives to make it, seem like a more balanced, loving relationship. But eventually, the high vibe people want to work together with people who are willing to work that way with them. And the other people weren't willing to do that. So I wish you peace to go live your life the way you want to live it. And I think because you're standing up for yourself and what's just and fair and listening to your intuition based on these lessons that you've learned in the past, Six Cups can talk about the past. I'm going to maintain balance within myself. Again, the sixes talk about balance. The Two of Swords can talk about balance. The Justice card. I am going to maintain balance within myself. I am going to go out in the world, meet people, know people, have my job, whatever. And I'm going to work together with people. Enjoy my life. But I'm not going to get in more involved relationships with people if they're not being more authentic. And I'm not going to get in a relationship or a more involved friendship with someone if I feel it's kind of for these other reasons. But I think other people are going to see you doing that, and you probably already have some people in your life who are standing up and defending you because they know you are who you say you are. You're not creating an illusion about the type of person that you are. You're not trying to manipulate people or deceive people or confuse people. You're being authentic. And then other people in the world know you could go do this, and they could go do this. And some of those people are like, why would I do this when I could be in a relationship with someone who's very stable, grounded, insightful, loving, just, fair, balanced, treats other people the way they like to be treated? I'm going to go hang out with that person. And you'll get in relationships with people who are more on the same page as you. And the other people will either try to manipulate and deceive someone else about the truth of who they are, but their primary kind of core group that they align with are probably all people who just are more about the world or themselves or indulging in relationships and not really being in more deep, meaningful relationships. And it's like, you can go do more superficial relationships with whoever you want. I'm not doing that. And other people will see the truth of it. And the people who are like-minded will want to defend you and stand up for you, just like you stand up for those people in your life. What's coming up for some people, though, who harness a more worldly, shadowy Pisces energy that they might not see coming? We have the High Priestess, the Ace of Cups, the King of Swords, the Knight of Pentacles, and the Two of Swords. And the reason is because of the Temperance card. So the divine is always there trying to work with people, trying to get them to listen to their intuition, to offer love to the past, whatever it is that makes them live life the way they live it, and to see the truth and get more balance within themselves, and to start kind of investing and listening to their intuition. But I view the King of Swords, which is Libra energy. I view the King of Swords can be a person's self-protective, defensive nature. We could get hurt if we listen to our intuition, you know, then we wouldn't be living more from our mind than our heart. And then we might, who knows what could happen out there? We've got to be logical and practical. So they keep emotionally investing, and shadowy high priestess can be kind of using their intuition in a shadowy way. I'm going to try to find people in the world who maybe don't know the truth about me. And I'll try to get in a relationship with them. And I'll repeat this pattern. And, I'll indulge in it for as long as that person is willing to be patient about me kind of creating an illusion that I'm more inspired by love, until those people start to invest in listening to their intuition and decide to offer me that cup of love to either be more just and fair and authentic, and then the relationship will be over. And then I'll balance out my emotions that I wasn't willing to listen to my intuition again, and my self-protective nature made me invest in hiding my more authentic nature. And I just balance out my emotions that I am not willing to listen to my intuition, and just get more balanced within myself to have a little more hope and faith and belief in myself and in others. But they keep investing in wanting to stay in denial of the truth. And part of the truth can be just that, they're kind of immature and they have these illusions about what it means to be in a relationship. And of course, whatever these ways are that they think are just and fair in a relationship, then they want other people to think it's just and fair, but other people don't think it's just and fair. And they keep thinking, well, they're balancing out their emotions about the fact that they're not willing to be more authentic or bold or brave or confident in the world to live their more authentic life. And they hope if they can get in a relationship with someone and offer them these things of the world, that then that person will stay in denial of the truth. And it's like staying in a relationship more for these reasons of the world, instead of doing a more deep, meaningful relationship. But the problem is 50% of the people in the world at any given moment in time, again, people can get to know people, people can be patient, people can view people, and people can present themselves as being, these just and fair and stable and grounded and kind of loving people. And in a lot of ways they can be. But as time goes by, you just kind of realize that it's more for these other alternative purposes, that it's not going to ever become a more deep, meaningful relationship, because they will not come out from behind their more defensive, egoic nature. And that's when it's up for the people in their life to decide if they're willing to stay in a relationship where it looks good by worldly standards and there's a lot of things you like about and you could love the person, but you're just not ever going to be in a more deep, meaningful, more authentic, loving relationship with them. It looks like love, it quacks like love, but it's either more immaturity and they've got some lessons to learn and growing up to do, or they're in complete denial that they are kind of more superficial and shallow and kind of more indulge themselves in relationships. And of course, they think that should be good enough. And other people are like, that's not good enough. That's not enough. When you make these free will decisions, you sacrifice something. Something is let go of. And some people are not willing to stay stuck, kind of, in the Two of Swords, in a relationship where they don't feel like people are maybe even being more authentic and truthful. Maybe people who, again, try to create the illusion about who they are, or even confuse people about the truth. And I think there's going to be more high vibrational people in their life who have offered them truth and love to move forward with them. And if these people keep choosing to no, I'm going to keep hiding emotionally, I think some of those people are going to listen to their intuition and they're going to move on. My dream can't come into reality here. And then those people will feel a little stuck, but they're unwilling to be more authentic, become independent of things they need to become independent of, which again could just be their immature nature, self-protective, defensive nature, and get more balance within themselves or speak their truth, that if they do have people in their life that they are kind of more aligned with, that they let have, that they don't ever become more independent of, until they're willing to speak their truth to those people in their life, respect me as my own individual. Just like you kind of have to proclaim that to the world. Quit trying to manipulate me or control me or say I have no worth and value if I do this or I do that. If I'm taking action in truth and love, wishing nobody harm, but I like these people and I like to do this job or profession and you like to do that job or profession, and you like, whatever. I want to go live my authentic truth, but some of these people will never live their authentic life. And they also don't want to see the truth about these shadowy traits or characteristics about themselves or the people they align with in their life. And if someone else is willing to stay in, lives their life like that, well, then they found the person who enjoys that life. You didn't enjoy it, so you left. Or that job. Or maybe just because they feel stuck, that they'll stay in it. And other people are like, I'm not willing to sacrifice my truth for something that I think is not just and fair. Anybody else who wants to do it can do it. So there you go, Pisces. I wish you peace, love, and joy. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.